creating this sense of, martial law and this kind of sense of that allows, especially in American democracy situation, guys, to usurp. That's what the attempt is. So again, back to the governor's touchship. So, but yeah, as it relates to the situation, it's like, well, I have to do this because I've been authorized, mandated to be the leader. But what's crazy, I'll pass the mic on this, what's crazy about what Trump is doing, and everybody's calling him on it, Congressman, a lot of people are like, bro, ran. Now, immigration, that's one thing. You definitely, okay, cool, you can make that argument. I got to come in, clean it all up, get rid of everybody that's illegal. No problem in that sense. But I'm the non-war president. You're in war with Russia, Ukraine, because I wasn't on my watch. I can come in day one, stop this idea of, no, but we're not going to fund more money to Israel. And no, Americans don't with that and are funding or going into another war as American troops. American no longer, well, what's being on the table for the next 2 weeks as I pass the mic back to Gemini and the rest of the room, crisis. What's now on the table is the idea that no, America directly, because there's no other people on the planet that have this B-1 bomber and have to use it over and over and over to accomplish, what is it, Fordo? Accomplish the annihilation of that nuclear facility.
Just to be clear real quick, before y'all continue, I just want to be clear about this. There was no law against term limits before, I think, like 50 or 51. When Truman got in, it was a tradition, and it was a tradition set by George Washington for presidents to leave, and so there not to be like an imperial presidency and whatnot. And so that's just something that presidents did. Nothing was preventing anybody from running for a third term. Roosevelt was kind of like his first terms were about the Great Depression. People enjoyed the way he handled that. He kind of built the welfare state, and everybody loved that. And his second 2 terms were about World War II and the way he handled that and the way he air quotes saved us from fascism and this and that. But after that, we got into gear, and I think it's the 20-something amendment. That's one of the most recent amendments was term limits. So that's why we have term limits, and that's why if Trump tried anything, there's nothing in our law that says if you're a president and there's some heavy shit going on, you can run again. So that's just blatantly an illegal move for him to try to run for a third term.
Ron, can you do me a favor? Can you pronounce the word that I put in the chat for us? If you're still there, Ron.
I'm looking for it.
Okay, what does that mean?
Can you say that again, please?
Milkamet Habakara.
I
would butcher that. I read some sort of way.
To your understanding, what does that mean?
The War of Baccarat?
No. It means, hold on, I'm about to put it back again just so you can make sure you're reading the word that I'm referring to. It's this word. Okay. The word means to be in opposition. It's the devil's advocate. Now, I'm going to extrapolate this from that phrase to be the devil.
Okay.
Right. So it's to be the devil's advocate. This is the way that Israel runs their government. And when they all vote on some shit, if everybody's in agreement, at least one person has to actually disagree with them and give the reason why.
Wait, where did you get that this is the way the Israeli government works?
Where did you get that definition? What's going on? What language?
It's actually
it's
right
from
there.
Hebrew, but I'm trying to understand where he gets this idea from.
I'm about to give it to you. Because it literally means
Department of Control.
It's their
it means arguing against. You know what I mean? So the thing is they require somebody to argue against what everybody is in unanimous decision of. Now, there's something else that we've all heard of, something called the Simpson the Simpson plan. Essentially, this is where the idea of Israel not declaring themselves to be a nuclear state, even though everybody knows they're a nuclear state, comes into play. Because if they ever felt like they were at jeopardy to that degree, they would just be able to go full on, you know what I mean, and go Wolverine with everybody. You know what I mean? But this is what we're looking at. I think that based off of reading Trump's book, I think that they just want to push us to the brink to bring us into alignment. They want the entire world to feel like as if World War III is imminent. Look at what y'all been seeing. Like, I work in tech. You know how many briefings we've gotten? As a matter of fact, yesterday I got a briefing about Google being breached. By the way, Google was breached this past weekend. Make sure you change your password.
It wasn't just Google. It was Google, Meta, and a whole. But it's the largest documented breach.
Yeah.
Password.
So make sure you change your password.
Change your password and pick something new that you haven't used before too.
Right, and I would suggest to you that you use quotes, movie quotes, television quotes, whatever quote, and just substitute certain letters for characters and numbers. But that's neither here nor there.
And if you want to feel super safe, send me your passwords. I'll save them for you. You good.
Yo, Gemini, you're a beast. You're a beast. But yeah, like the idea
You
is
use Super Saiyan as a password, it'll make the other computer blow up.
the idea is that if I can't have it, you can't have it either. And sweet, to the point you were making earlier, when you weren't sure how I was going to tie this all together, this is how I'm tying it all together. Because they like we're dealing with individuals who are purposely pushing us in a certain direction, and they're trying to play it off like as if this is manifested instead of manufactured. When we can clearly, those of us who are intelligent enough to see it, we can see that it's manufactured, not manifested.
Crisis, I never had anything about you putting it all together. I'm not sure where that thought came from, but for the record, but
Oh, it might have been you. My bad.
yeah, it's all good. It's all good. I mean, it's not a big thing.
on.
Not a big thing. I'm just for the record, but because I personally have no doubt as to how this all ties together.
No, I got you, bro. But that's what's happening right now. I don't think we're gonna go to war. But my bad, sister. Sister, go ahead. Sister, you got it.
So I have a question, and it's a couple of questions first. So I don't know do we have any Hebrew speakers in the room? Because I'm kind of challenging your translation on that, in terms of the literal translation of the phrase and the function of the unit that it describes. So I'd like to know if we have any Hebrew speakers in the room who can help me with that part. And then, but my second thing is, how did you get from this idea of a devil's advocate unit whose job is to, the job of the unit is to challenge, policy, to offer alternative perspectives, and to push the boundary of thinking around political policies and actions? How did you get from there to, if I can't have it, you can't have it? I missed something in that buildup. So can you clarify what that middle part is relative to Israel's military moves? Thank you.
Right, you're talking about second base. So the devil's unit wasn't always something that was a generally known thing. However, the Samson option was a generally known thing.
The what option?
Samson.
SIP or SA?
Samson. You know, like Samson, like the one from the Bible.
That's
Samson.
why I'm asking you how to spell it, because I'm not getting the vowel. Okay, Samson. Okay, that's okay. Okay, so what's the Samson op?
Okay, the Samson option is a zero-sum game. That's where if their back's against the wall, they just use what they have. That's what the Samson option is. Now, somebody earlier today.
Okay, hold on. I just want to make sure I'm following. Sorry. So is this Samson option, is that like the unit where it exists? Because the unit you're describing, that's like from the 70s, right? In Israeli government. So this Samson option, is that a policy or is that somebody's explanation of practice? It's an official.
I just put it in the chat.
Okay.
It's a strategy.
I just put it in the chat.
Yeah. I'm just trying to make sure. I'm trying to discern.
No, I understand, sister. Like, I'm with you.
If that's an official
understand.
policy or somebody's description of Israeli policy.
We gotta talk, bro. I learned about that in school.
Right, so they
What is going on? Wait a minute.
hold on, Dr. AG. Dr. AG.
Y'all don't play a lot. Okay.
Dr. AG, it's described as a policy.
Okay, it's
So I'm not
described.
sure.
That's what I'm trying to. And let me just say why I'm asking these questions, right? Because sometimes I know that political scientists and activists, they create like these phrases and names for things and they describe them, and then they come into the popular conversation as if it's an actual policy, whereas it's a theoretical framework that someone's created to explain practice. So that's what I'm trying to discern, because the unit you're describing is an actual thing that the Israelis created after the Yom Kippur War. But I'm trying to find out if the Samson thing is an actual policy within the Israeli government, or is it somebody's political assessment of how the Israelis have been moving and operating? I'm trying to make that distinction.
It's not official. It's not. Israel won't tell you, yeah, we follow the Samson, like the Samson option is a thing, but they don't even admit that they have nukes. But the Samson option is literally like, if our backs up against the wall, everybody dies.
That doesn't make any sense.
Well, that's
What is
what
that?
option.
What does back against the wall mean? Can you define it? That's a very vague statement.
Yeah. So
Hold on. I don't want y'all to derail. I do not want y'all to redirect y'all's focus to CEO, respectfully, CEO, away from my question, which is very specific. And so thank you, CEO, for clarifying that statement doesn't make sense. Because if you are going, so it's like describe. What is that? Yeah, I don't even understand what that even means.
Dr. AG,
Okay.
I'll go back with you.
in the chat. Seymour,
I know. This is what you're not getting, sir. I know it comes from a book.
Okay.
What I'm asking you is, is that?
Yes, by all
I'm gonna just take a breath for a second. Hold on, let me take a breath. Hold on. Let me take a breath for a second. Because my reading of it is, as a policy, right? There's no thing called the Samson option. What Hirsch is describing is how over time it appears that this is the method or the means or processing that the Israelis go through in making their military and political decisions, right?
Yeah.
And he has named it that. That's what I'm trying to get to.
No, he didn't name it that. This has been discussed and intelligence. Like, this is a thing. Like, Israel's never admitted to having nukes. We don't know that they have nukes.
I don't want to go to
They
the
have
nuke
nukes.
conversation. That's something
The
different.
Samson Directive is literally about nukes. It's about, like, if it comes to, like, us not living and our enemies living, like, we will kill ourselves and all of them, and nobody lives. So it's not an official directive, like, just like, the Hannibal Directive.
It's a military doctrine.
Yeah,
It's
that's
a military doctrine.
Where is this
But the Hannibal,
Straight up a military doctrine.
come on, dude, chill out. the Hannibal Directive is also not something that's official and not published as like official Israeli strategy. But we all see them implementing the Hannibal Directive, willing to kill their own civilians, their own soldiers.
Okay, now you're
prevent them from capture and being used against them.
Now you're speaking my point. You're speaking my point, and I know it's a subtle point that in conversations like this doesn't really matter. But you've given me what I wanted. Thank you.
If I can,
All right, now I just go ahead.
Just thought. It details the
No,
history of Iran's.
I don't need it.
Okay, can I talk to other people in the room?
No, because the question was mine, and I asked it to a specific person, and I was looking for specific details, right?
Did you hear what we're looking for? Dr.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I don't want it to go. I don't want it to go into some. I don't know where. I'm good.
Yeah, Dr. AG.
So then CEO wanted to follow up. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Crisis.
No, I'm just saying this, Dr. AG, if, as I put it in the chat as well, if that explanation doesn't give you what you're looking for, I have other articles as well.
Oh yeah, I know what it is. I just wanted to clarify that. I just wanted that clarification. I gotcha.
Yeah, I mean.
And I do know, just for the record, for people who don't what's his name? Oh God, not a dude. The dude who wrote the book, Hirsch, right? He didn't go to Israel, but he did interview a former Israeli intelligence person, or somebody who said they worked for Israeli intelligence, like for the book. So, I mean, I knew that, but I just wanted that level of clarity. That's all.
No, I just want.
So, sorry, CEO. Go.
Yeah, I just want the description of when this imperative would be used. So could you go ahead and describe that scenario? When you're going to operate the Samson initiative or whatever, that Samson option. When would the Samson option be used?
Yom Kippur War.
No, there wasn't used. What are we talking about?
No, they were going to use it at the Yom.
Am I allowed to speak on it or no? Okay.
They didn't use it, so that's not a good one. So when would they use it? Go ahead.
Please stop.
Where
Stop
Israel
interrupting.
does not end at the end of whatever happens. If Israel is not a state anymore, and it doesn't mean under nuclear threat, it means at any point like Egypt, Syria comes in, militarily takes over Israel. Israel's no longer a state. The Palestinians get their own state, become strong, and end up like moving to control the entire, like anything that is any situation where Israel does not exist at the end, everybody dies.
I'll take that long pause. I'm scared to
Wait a minute. Oh my God.
I don't know what my voice does.
Oh my God, guy. Quit interrupting. Jesus.
Oh my
God, you're exhausting.
Interrupting? Fuck.
Yes. He was explaining something. How do you know CEO didn't have a follow-up? You just came right in.
Asked me to talk. That's how I know.
Yes, we
asked me to go.
He can go.
Okay, God, Jesus.
Thank you. Good.
And shut up, James. Yes, I'm a woman, and I'm a well-read woman too. Don't play with me.
Okay.
Go ahead, sweet.
Thank you, sweetie. I appreciate you. And so, this idea that Israel would launch a massive nuclear retaliatory strike if the state itself is being overrun, just as the biblical figure Samson is said to have pushed apart the pillars of a Philistine temple, bringing down the roof and killing himself and thousands of Philistines who had gathered to see him humiliated.
That is a lazy explanation.
Well, I didn't want to. I'm sorry, bro.
Specific example. Like the other guy at least was getting close. He said it's Egypt and Syria, or whatever, right? Okay, like
I'm sorry to meet your standard. I'm sorry. My intellect is lazy. I'm sorry.
All right. So you're fine. So let me see if I can understand it. So in some scenario where I guess the U.S. is completely, has no do anything. Decapitated. Thank you. Yeah. The U.S. and Europe is decapitated, and Egypt and Syria and Russia are taking over Israel. Then we'll use some nukes. Is that basically what it is?
Yeah, and it's not for the whole world. It's for the region that they're in. Basically, if they're not able to exist in that region, they're gonna make sure that the whole region is gone.
There's one more nuance to it, though. It also involves signaling the nuclear threat as well. And that's where they used it in the 6-Day War in the Yom Kippur.
But let me understand.
They had nukes then? What year was this?
Yeah, I mean,
What year was it? What was that, 67?
1967, yeah.
And they had nukes then?
When did Kennedy die?
So in Yom Kippur, they armed 13 nuclear warheads. So.
And real quick, LF, can let Lonzo speak, because he just brought up a very good point about when did Kennedy die. Because Kennedy died because of the fact that Israel was trying to get a nuke, and they had espionage their way into getting the information on how to build a nuke. So go ahead and let Lonzo cook.
I mean, a lot of people said that there was like a conspiracy, right, until that got declassified, and you saw, Israel all over that, right? Or, Israeli figures, names all over it. So, I mean, I don't know. Maybe there is something there.
Yeah.
The United States government is leaning that direction. I mean, who am I to say anything otherwise, right?
It sounds like
Kennedy was pressing Israel to allow us to inspect their nuclear facilities, to like come on record about what they had, this and that, and they were adamantly against it. Ben Gurion, who was essentially like the dude who created Israel and all, like the first prime minister, that dude, he was forced to resign because Kennedy was saying like, look, we will withdraw all of our military, strategic, and financial support from you guys if you guys don't put yourselves on record, allow us to come in and inspect your nuclear facilities. You got to remember, Kennedy was like vehemently against nuclear proliferation, and he saw the problems that would create, so he was pressing them hardcore. Ben Gurion had to resign over that, and then the next guy came in, and that is by like all conspiracy theory accounts. Can't remember what the next prime minister was after him, but he was the guy who implemented like the kind of us against you Israeli strategy. Like we are really alone in this, and like we just need to use the U.S. to strategically to use the U.S. strategically in order to achieve our own supremacy and our own sovereignty over here, and to not let us hold our help over their head. And then then from that comes the, Mossad, using the Mossad to infiltrate the U.S. and this and that, and Jack Ruby, the dude who shot, what's his name, after he killed Kennedy, that's where that whole conspiracy comes from, though. It's like people are basically saying it comes from Kennedy wanting them to give up their nukes.
What was Ben Gurion's full name?
I don't know, what was his first name?
Because the person that they're saying came after him was another Ben Gurion, but it was David.
Levi Eshkol was his name.
Levi Eshkol is the person who came after. Yeah.
So, right.
So, one other thing about that Samson option, correct me if I'm wrong, it targeted non-nuclear adversaries as well, right?
Well, yeah, the Samson thing isn't like a response to a nuclear threat. Like, it's not like if nukes are used against us, we will use nukes. That's just like standard mutually assured destruction game theory. This is like if dude was right. I think what's your name?
It was Crisis.
He was right. It's not like the whole world dies. It's like, it's like the Palestinians and the Arabs. Like, if the Arabs allow us to be pushed out of here, then all the Arabs die with us.
And so, just one last question on that. What's the point of discussing it. I mean, it seems below 0.1% probability. So, what's the point of it?
It relates to what's going on right now.
No, it does not. Are you saying that Iran is going to be able to defeat Israel so decisively, the U.S. won't get involved, Europe won't get involved, they're just going to beat them so decisively and overrun them that they're going to have to use a nuke?
No, let me answer that. Let me answer all that emotion he just brought. What I am saying is that Israel is saying that Iran represents that to them. Are you clear, CEO? I'm not saying shit. I'm telling you that Israel is saying that Palestine and everything around them, especially now, Iran, is trying to remove them off the planet.
They always say that. They've been saying that for decades. There's no difference in rhetoric. What are we talking about? It's like me saying, hold on, real quick, one thing. I'm going to come up with the Gemini option. So Gemini comes to Delaware, body slams me, shoots me in the leg, then I'm going to drop kick him. Okay? What's the difference?
So look, like I'll answer your question about like could Israel really be defeated in a strategic way? Like I don't know, I get that, right? And the Samson shit goes back to like the '60s and like their initial Middle Eastern conflicts, their rise to stability like in that area, right? Or their rise to permanency in that area. But what I see now, and this is just my take on it, is like. My thing has always been like, you guys are Eastern Europeans. Like, you know, I was talking earlier, Netanyahu's name isn't Netanyahu, it's Milikowski. Like, all these people, like, they take these names to assume the identity of the Israel or the Jews that never left. Like, there are Jews who have lived there, Sephardic Jews that never left. And, like, they are also the ones who, like, learned to live aside the Palestinians and didn't have beef with the Arabs. This idea of like beefing with these people and whatever, this is like an Eastern European idea. And what I see is like when you see Haifa is empty, Tel Aviv is empty, because as soon as the missiles start coming down, the flights start headed into New York and Florida and Jersey, right? Back to Europe, France. They start going back to where they're from. Like, so and like when I see Palestinians getting bombed, I see them rallying. I see them like together, like fighting to unearth people and burying people together. And they're like one. They're like a battle-hardened people, and they've got a psyche about them that's like about resistance. And this is our home, and we are here, and we're gonna fight for this. When I see them. When the fucking Fatahs and the drones and all that shit start coming in, I see them eating each other. I see them kicking people out of shelters and mobbing each other, fighting to get into shelters and fighting. I see them in droves, 5,000-6,000 people at the sea fighting to get on ferries to get out to cruise ships so they can come to Florida. Like I don't see people that when the real hellfire starts coming down on Israel that are going to be steadfast and like all this promised land and this is our land shit. Like they don't believe that. That's a nice land that they've gotten and they would like to stay, but they are not willing to fight and die for it. They are not willing to be completely decimated as a population like the Palestinians, where the average age of a Palestinian is like 28. Like Israel's not willing to go through that. And when the bullshit comes, if the bullshit comes, I just don't see them sticking around and fighting. I see them all running and fleeing, and I see the only people left as the extremist people, and I see the extremist people as the only people left willing to do some shit like kill everybody.
So, I think wait one second. Nobody's fleeing Israel. The people that you saw sitting leaving Israel were tourists that left after the bombing started, right? So Israel's airport has been closed except for emergency flights for the past like week and a half or something.
But there's tens of
So
thousands.
you see, wait, one second. Excuse me, 1 second. Yeah, there are some people who went to Cyprus, but those are emergency flights, and there are certain emergency flights that are allowed out.
And
Haifa and Tel Aviv are not empty right now.
They're essentially empty.
No, they are not essentially empty. I know people who live in Haifa and Tel Aviv. Nobody is going anywhere. None of the people that live there are going anywhere. And there's still tourists in Israel who have not gotten out, who are leaving on emergency flights as they allow them out. So, and no, the airport is not destroyed in Israel. They tried to attack it, but it was not destroyed. So I think you might want to check your sources, because I have on very good authority that people are not fleeing Israel.
I'm putting it in the chat. I'm putting the video.
Yeah, you put a video in the
What does it matter? People are fleeing or not fleeing. What does it matter?
What we have here is like, Ron, you have some like anecdotal shit you believe, and I have some anecdotal shit I believe. But like the anecdotal shit I believe is like I said, watching them fight and eat each other to get to bomb shelters, not coming together. Watching them fight and eat each other. 5, 6, 7,000 people lined up on a beach, and lines a mile long of people coming onto the beach, fighting to get onto boats so they can go out to cruise ships and make it to Cyprus, so they can get on a plane to come back to New Jersey or wherever. So like, yeah, are they tourists? Are a lot of them tourists? I have no idea, right? Is Haifa empty? No, there are people left in Haifa. Is Tel Aviv empty? No, there are people in Tel Aviv. But has a vast majority of the civilian population gotten the fuck out of Haifa and gotten the fuck out of Tel Aviv? Absolutely. And so, like, anecdotally, if I'm watching Haifa empty out, air quotes empty out, Tel Aviv empty out, and I'm also seeing tens or thousands and thousands of people, upwards of like what to me visually looks like almost 10,000 people on a beach fighting each other to get on the ferries to go out to Cyprus. I'm going to say, like, people in Haifa are trying to get the fuck out of Israel. People in Tel Aviv are trying to get the fuck out of Israel. Like, that's just like anecdotal.
Why is this?
But you're right, I have no solid proof.
Yeah, but why is this even hold on 1 second. Why is this even a debate? People want to leave places that are being bombed. How is this a revelation?
Yeah, I guess what I'm trying to say is, you know, on the one hand, you see that the people in places like Palestine, right, that feel like this is their home, right? Many of these people feel like they're descendants from the people that was there even prior to any Jewish person in that area, right? These people could have easily left. 2 years, they could have left.
Easily left.
Yeah,
they could have
Easily, they could easily leave.
Let Lonzo land. Let Lonzo land.
Yeah, these people could have easily left. That was the whole thing, right? Unless Ron, you're gonna say it was a genocide if these people just had no other thing to do but just die, right? So the option was to leave and come back, right? Possibly, or to stay. And
no, that is not the option. Stop.
Right. So
misrepresenting
Lonzo, I just have a question for you. Continue after his question. Are you saying that if the Palestinians had the same net worth and liquidity as the Israelis, they would still stay?
Wait, say that again?
I'm asking you, if the Palestinians had the same liquidity, the same net worth as the Israelis, would they still have stayed?
You talking about living or dying?
Liquidity, money, net worth.
Yeah, I know.
Cash.
I'm saying what's more than money or cash is living or dying. No.
No, I'm just saying if they had the money to leave.
The answer is no.
Yes. Listen. The fact is, right, what's greater than money is life, right? Because you could always get money back, right? Many thousands and thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands of these people stay because they believe wholeheartedly that this is their home. Now, I put a few videos in the chat. I could put probably like 15 more, right, of different documentaries that are being made of these people calling everywhere else home aside from Israel. When, when everything happens, right? When we're faced with either staying and dying on said quote unquote promised land, or that land, these people or many of these people are doing things like turning these bunkers to anti-Semitic bunkers, right? Because you're kicking your fellow sister and brethren out, leaving them to die. Many of these people are fleeing. In fact, they're fleeing so much. One of the heads of Israel, I forget what was her position. I'm sure Ron will be able to tell us. Said no, you can't leave. The only way you could leave if you're somebody on vacation. And then we know other people that's lived there for years, and I have more documentaries, are saying, no, I'm getting out of here. This is crazy.
No, Lonzo,
more than just people vacation.
Yeah,
Lonzo, check this out, Lonzo. So here's the crazy shit about what's going on right now with the people who are trying to flee.
Can I respond to that real quick?
You're real. I'm gonna keep it in 60 seconds. So to your point, Lonzo, you're right. And what you're finding now is that a lot of people who are not able to physically leave. There was a brother in here earlier who specifically, he was talking about how he's like Kurdish, right? And he said that he's not Kurdish in just the broader spectrum. He knows exactly what village he's from and all of that. He has 14 generations buried on the same land. The only person who's not buried on that same land is his father. So these people don't have any inclination of wanting to leave that land. They're going to stay there regardless of how hard it gets. So I understand what you're saying. The ones who feel like that's their land, they're not going to try to leave.
That man was not Kurdish. The man, he was Palestinian. His father, he said his father's family was from. He said his father's family was from Naples and his mother's family was from Haifa, and then they ended up in Jordan after, like, I guess 1967 or something like this. But anyway, as far as
when they got ethnically cleansed,
he was not Kurdish. No, the ethnic cleansing that you're talking about was happened in 1948. Thank you very much.
I'm sure it was.
The way you call it, it was in 1967. 1967 happened because
got stolen.
Come on,
there was a war.
Include the stop, man.
Yeah, thank you.
The grace.
Yeah, so the issue with
That's cool, bro.
The issue with the people who leave and who don't want to leave in Palestine, which I don't think you can point to on the map, are people in Gaza, right? There are two border walls: the border wall between Israel and Gaza, and the border wall between Egypt and Gaza. The issue is Israel allowing them to go in. Israel can determine who is a Hamas combatant or who is a normal citizen of Gaza, and Egypt doesn't want to allow the citizens of Gaza who want to leave. Many people want to leave. You can see videos of those, right? You see people saying, "I want to leave." They won't let us leave. People are trying to escape because Egypt doesn't want to take them in as a refugee crisis, or at least let them step right across the border, the innocent people, into the Sinai Peninsula. Why? Partially because they're afraid that if they do, that the people who are Hamas supporters that are amongst them will join them, the Islamic Brotherhood or Islamic Jihad, one of those terrorist groups, and that will create a bigger problem. Is that people do want to leave. Unfortunately, the people in Gaza cannot currently leave.
Let me run Lonzo. Let me just
give me 1 second, brother. Or, right, could it be that Israel, places like Egypt knows, and Egypt is taking so many of them in, because of different stages of this ethnic cleansing that's been taking, place since '48? Or could it just be because they realize if Egypt takes all of them in, these people will never have a home to come back to, and they know the tricks, they know the play, no different than all the homes, the lands that people lived on for centuries.
So
Right? And they can't return back to those places either.
So
This
this
is my speculation.
It goes
This is my
along.
speculation.
No, this is a fact. There's been
This-
too many documentaries saying
It's
that.
a fact.
Too many documents
Yeah.
and speculation.
What was that famous model? What was her name? Hadid. Yeah, like she literally
Bella Hadid.
Bella Hadid, when she literally said that she took some Israelis and some Jewish people in their home. She came back one day. They came back, and then they found out that they were getting kicked out of their home. That they actually took those Jewish people into to begin with their families' home.
Yeah, that's
Things like
bullshit.
that happen all the time.
Because this story is not true. I've never.
Or the video from different New Yorkers that come to take.
I've looked for books. I've looked for articles. I've looked for any record.
Or that New Yorker that took birthright, right? Or one of the New Yorkers.
This story is bullshit.
Said no. Hold on, bud. Yeah, that New Yorker that took birthright and said, no, I'm not stealing your home. This is my home. I need your home.
Ron.
Oh, you're talking about the fat dude. You're talking about the fat dude.
Hold on, Ron. This is the thing, and it goes to what Christ has said, right? About 14 generations and whatnot. Of course, if a bomb is falling on somebody's head, you'd have to be a pretty down-ass dude to just stand there and say, I'm not leaving my house. But we have seen that. We've seen that in the Iraqi occupation and whatnot. People refusing to leave their homes because this is my home and you're not going to force me anywhere, and dying because of it. So that is a thing in a war-hardened society, a society where resistance is part of the psyche, the DNA of the people. So of course, people will relocate to get themselves away from imminent death, but some people won't, and the people that won't are the people who have resistance built into them. How do you get resistance built into somebody? If any population would have that built into them, I think it would be the population whose average age is 28, where their entire family has been wiped out, and they vowed vengeance and vowed resistance against the people who have murdered generations of their family for the last 75-something years. If the question is are you telling me if Palestinians had money, they wouldn't leave? Well, some people would leave and they would come back. To me, that's why the two-state solution is unacceptable to Israel, because as soon as there is a valid Palestinian state that the entire international community recognizes, do you know how many Palestinians from all over the globe that have been displaced will return home? That's what they're scared of. To them, the existence of a Palestinian state, means the annihilation of Israel as an entity, because the claim to the land is so fucking strong. And it's not a delusional claim to the land. It's dude said, 14 generations of my people are from here, and I can point to you the valley that they're all buried in, and this and that. It's that. Yeah, people are going to run from bombs, but not everybody's going to run from bombs. But certainly, right, we've seen how these people have conducted themselves just over the last 2 years in this onslaught that they're experiencing, right? And I haven't seen a single video of Palestinians fighting each other. Not a single instance of, not even one Palestinian fight. You would think crime doesn't exist in Palestine. Gaza. You would think crime doesn't even exist over there, the way these people fellowship and take care of each other. But one day, 1 week, missiles start raining down on the Israelis, and they are going fucking crazy. They're going fucking crazy.
Hold on. Quick question. Okay, what percentage of Palestinians do you think would leave if they could?
Probably the ones who have left.
Well, so there was a survey that said 31% they could leave.
Okay. I mean, I won't go against that.
Wait, tell me. Let's just get this clear. Let's get this clear too, CEO. When was that survey taken?
It was taken after October 7th.
Yeah, and are you aware that since October 7th, things like electricity and water and food was used
It was weaponized.
yeah, you know,
Of
so
course.
these things, wait, and this goes for anybody, right? Because we understand that these things were also used against Jewish people during the Holocaust, right? Food and water were weaponized, right? So is it plausible that somebody that's starving, you can get them to say, yeah, I want to leave because I want to eat?
Of course, but that's my point. Just like it's feasible, it's not feasible that like if there's bombs in Tel Aviv, like I don't want to stay, I'm gonna bounce. Like I would bounce if I was there.
CEO, do you realize that what you're admitting to right now?
And yet,
You're literally.
and yet, so many of them are staying.
Yeah, and CEO, but would you eat your neighbors alive trying to get out? That's at least what I'm talking about.
What is going on with this cannibalism? Like, what's
My bad.
Not actually happening.
Would you fight your neighbors to get out? Would you drag your neighbors and throw them behind you and take their spot? Like, would you do that in order to get out?
Sidney, can I say something real quick, please? If you understand 70 AD, you will absolutely fight your neighbor to get out. Because in 70 AD, the same shit happened. They surrounded the city, created a moat, and made it so that nobody could leave. And those who tried to leave were killed. And those who were in the city had to die from either starvation, malnourishment, whatever. So at the end of the day, I'm not. That's not what I'm trying to say to you, brother. I'm actually agreeing with you. What I'm saying is that the notion that Palestinians wouldn't leave if they're being faced with what Loso just said is ridiculous. Because at the end of the day, you still want to live. Notice the first thing that Loso said when he was asked that question is he said, "Are you asking me to decide between living and dying?" And Loso, please tell me if I'm lying on you. You know what I'm saying? Like, is that what you said, Loso?
I think he's saying Lonzo.
Is that what you said?
Lonzo, I think.
Oh, Lonzo, my bad. But is that what you said? When they asked you the question, you said, "Are you asking me the difference between living and dying?" Because nobody's gonna choose to die.
That's not true, bro. They would rather die than be persecuted. That's not true.
Especially if they have children. They're not gonna just choose to starve to death and stay where they are.
Okay.
Well, they don't have a mindset like you.
Okay.
They don't think like you, bro.
Okay, great. All right, so because this is respectfully, this is like all over the place, and I don't know what the thesis is. So maybe this might help. Live update from the New York Times: U.S. moves B-2 bombers as Iran and Israel exchange strikes. Several U.S. Air Force B-2 bombers appeared to have taken off from a base in the United States and were headed across the Pacific as President Trump was scheduled to meet at the White House with his national security team on Saturday evening to discuss joining Israel's attacks on Iranian nuclear sites. Air traffic control communications showed the B-2 aircraft, which can carry the 30,000-pound bunker buster bombs Mr. Trump is considering dropping on Iran's Fordo underground nuclear facility, taking off from Whiteman Air Force Base in Missouri. The destination of the planes was not clear, though one air traffic control message suggested they were en route to a U.S. airbase on Guam. Moving planes does not mean the president has made a decision to strike. It is not unusual to shift military assets into position to provide options, even if they are not ultimately deployed. It is also possible the U.S. purposely allowed the public to know about the movement to pressure Iran to come to the negotiating table. Okay. Thoughts?
Dr. AG,
That's
you know
disgusting.
what's happening? You know what we've learned in the last 2 weeks? In the last 2 weeks, we've learned that Iran has the ability to penetrate the quote-unquote Iron Dome. We've learned that in the last 2 weeks.
Okay.
At the same time,
What's that got to do with her comments?
But this is what
I say focus. Be focused.
Hold on, crisis. Thank you, CEO. I want to just directly focus on the breaking news updated 3 minutes ago that the U.S. has moved these B-2 bombers. What are our thoughts on that? And if we could do that,